Let me call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Would you please stand for the pledge of the flag? Jerry, would you lead us in that pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call roll, please.
Keith Bratcher. Here. Joe Crowell. Here. Tony Webb. Here. Joe Machado. Here. Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Michael Rather. Here. Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We do have a quorum, and all voting members are present, sir.
All regular members are here and will be voting. We have before us the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any changes or additions to those minutes? Do I have a motion they be accepted?
I'll make a motion so minutes be approved as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion to be and we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. The minutes are approved. Let me welcome each of you here tonight. We do have a couple of the changes on our agenda that I'd like to call to your attention. First, on the Richard Gleaves request, we had received information this afternoon that there was a family emergency and asked for a deferral in this request. And that we generally would give a referral request for 1 month, which would come in January. Now, I'm going to ask, is Richard Gleaves in the audience, to make sure? He is not, and he has requested a deferral. So, Board, what is your thoughts on this?
I make a motion to defer.
Okay, we have a motion that it be deferred until next month. Do we have a second on that? We have a second.
Who was that, sir?
Keith. Call roll, please.
Keith Bratcher. Yes. Joe Crowell.
Yes.
Tony Webb. Jerry Sartain. Yes. Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
We also have let me also announce Commissioner Farley is here, and he would like to meet with those who are interested in this, and he said he would meet on the outside over here. So if you're interested, Commissioner Farley would like to meet over there. Commissioner, go ahead.
I got a question. The 1 month deferral, what's going to happen if he asks for it again next month? Does he just get 1 month deferred?
Well, generally, that's what we would give is 1 month. So, but that would be a BZA decision, not mine alone. Okay? You're welcome. What is the date of the next meeting? Hold on a minute, we'll give you that date.
That should be January the 12th, and we'll send out notices and everything again to
Did you
the
get
same
that,
folks
Frank?
that...
Okay. I'm sorry about the inconvenience, but we can't always control these things. We also have a deferral on Terry Hackney. Is Terry Hackney in the audience? You are here, okay. Terry, you need to come up here and see and make sure you have documentation filed on this that's appropriate.
Yeah.
If you'll see our planning officer here.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll get on with our regular business at this time. The first item we have before us is a request by Jake Lloyd, and that request is for a temporary sale of fireworks, and this is in a C2 zone. What do you have on that?
Application 2010-53, filed by Jake Lloyd, involves the property located at the corner of Shelbyville Highway and Oak Meadow Drive. It's a 10.31 acre parcel located in the C2 zone. He is seeking a temporary conditional use permit to establish a temporary fireworks stand for a period of 2 weeks during the Christmas season. The fireworks sale will cease on January 1st, and Mr. Lloyd actually established his fireworks tent at this location during the July 4th season this year. We received no complaints on that particular location, and the proposed fireworks stand will be operated by the Riverdale Football Booster Club. All of the time frames, number of employees stays the same. The tent will be located in the same location on the site as it was in July. These are photos of the surrounding area and the intersection that it will be located at, and staff recommends approval. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, that's all you have on that now?
Yes.
Right, okay. Do we have anyone here that's representing this request? If you'll come around, please, at the podium. Do you have any additional information you'd like to share with us? If you'll give us your name and...
Sure. My name is Jake Lloyd, and it's basically exactly like she said. It's the same as this past summer, except unfortunately it'll probably be far less busy. So that's about it.
Have any questions from the board?
Mr. Lloyd, you had this location back on July 4th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Move to be approved, Mr.
Have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second? Got a second. Call roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Tony Webb, Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item is a request by Scott and Gina Ritter, who is requesting an accessory structure dwelling on their property, 600 additional square feet. What do you have on that?
Okay, application 2010-54, filed by Scott.
Pull your microphone up a little
I'm
closer.
sorry. Application 2010-54, filed by Scott and Gina Ritter, involves the property located at 1204 Farmhouse Road. It's a .89 acre parcel, and it's located in the R15 zone. They are seeking conditional use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit on a property less than 1 acre and requesting variance relief to allow 600 additional square feet of detached accessory structure area for a total of 1,800 square feet in the R15 zone. On the property has a principal residence, and it's located in the Farmington subdivision. They also have a gazebo and a shed that make up some of the existing square footage. Therefore, with the accessory dwelling unit measuring between 1,000 square feet and 1,200 in that range, they are seeking variance approval to allow them to have 600 additional feet than what would be allowed normally on the property less than 1 acre, which is 1,200 square feet. Also, we have ADU regulations or accessory dwelling unit regulations that require properties less than 1 acre to apply for conditional use approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals if they can't meet the minimum 1 acre requirement. So the home that they are proposing to build will be located on this lot in the Farmington subdivision. It will be located behind the pool, and I will show you a site plan of that. And these are photos of the surrounding area. We have received informational calls on this property. The applicant has submitted elevations of the proposed structure, and it will be designed to match the homes and the exterior materials and the roof styles of the existing homes in the neighborhood. And this is a floor plan of the proposed living unit and has a small recreation area element to it. This is a site plan shown by the applicant. It might be a little difficult to see, but you can see how the development will occur on the lot. And then this is an aerial photograph where he just imposed the area the pool house will be located. And they will, of course, have to demonstrate meeting all the standards like water and sewer availability. And we find that the structure itself will be compatible with the existing residences in the area and recommend approval. And even though the variance request is unable to demonstrate meeting the variance criteria, the proposed improvements, if the board approves it, it will still meet the 20% maximum lot coverage for residential districts. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please give us your name and any additional information you might have.
My name is Scott Ritter. What we want to do is just put a pool house in there. The requirements for the subdivision are approved of that. The requirements of the subdivision, we're going to put all brick, and it's going to match the house.
Do we have any questions from the board? Jerry?
Do you have field lines, or do you have is that subdivision on a step system?
On a step system, sir.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
This is not intended for someone to live in it.
No, sir. What it is a pool house. We got a pool there, and we're going to basically make it a pool house.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
I make a motion be approved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Keith and Jerry. Call a roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell. Yes. Tony Webb.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay. It is approved. The next item of business we have is Anthony Cortez, and this is a request of a conditional use permit for establishment of a realty business.
Application 2010-55 involves the property located at 6383 Jones Lane. The applicant is seeking a conditional use approval for a major home-based business to establish a realty office in his home. The property, the lot area of this property is 7.65 acres, and it's in the R15 zone. This particular request would typically not, if someone wanted to establish a home-based office, if they met certain conditions, they would be able to go and just fill out an application in our office and continually have to comply with those. But of those conditions, you're not allowed to have a sign. As part of his business as a realtor, he would need to post a 2-square-foot sign in the building, and that's in accord with his licensing regulations. And so that puts him in the major home-based business category. And so he would still have to meet all the conditions of a home-based business. However, he would be able to have you're allowed up to 5 square feet, a 5-square-foot sign if you're approved for a major home-based business. We have received some informational calls. As you can see, this is the aerial of the property. It's located off an easement. He does not expect any walk-in traffic. However, there may be occasional meetings where he has other agents go to his house. If it were to become a nuisance, he would need to demonstrate. If we were called on a complaint, we would go out and investigate it. And if it was found that he did not meet the conditions of a home-based business, then he would need to appear before the board or go through some other avenue to get that approved. But these are pictures of the site. We posted the site. We find that the application meets the criteria, provided it continually meets the conditions of a home-based business. And this is the residence that the business will be located in. And we recommend approval. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? Will come around and give us your name and any additional information you might have.
Anthony Cortez. We won't be meeting, excuse me, it'll be for residential application only. We won't be meeting clients at the office. We'll be meeting clients off-site at the properties that we'll be showing. There will be no additional traffic in the subdivision. The realtors will only come there to drop off a contract. They won't be meeting clients at the office. They won't be working from the office. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't want a bunch of people at my house. So we have to have a place to comply with the Real Estate Commission. That's the only reason for the 2-foot by 2-foot sign, just to stay in compliance with the Real Estate Commission. Be a place to store files. I'll work from my office like I do now, looking up homes and meeting with clients off-site. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Any questions?
Mr. Cortez, I just want to make this, you were talking about other realtors coming. Are they your realtors under your brokerage, or are you talking about?
No, sir. They're realtors under my brokerage. I have 10 realtors under my brokerage.
So they won't be having offices at your house?
Oh,
and
no, sir.
Assistants at your house?
No, sir.
Okay.
I really don't want anybody at my house.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll open this, you may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to be approved.
I second.
Have a second. Call the roll.
I'm sorry, who was that second? Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Kroll, Tony Webb, Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes,
Motion carries, sir.
it is approved. The next item of business we have is the request by Chris Edwards. This is a barrel pit, and this is a temporary conditional use permit.
Application 2010-56 filed by Chris Edwards involves the property located at 15140 Mount Pleasant Road. And the lot area is 4.3 acres, and they are seeking temporary conditional use permit for a burrow pit in the R15 zone. They are excavating soils from an approximate 130-foot by 50-foot area from the site. You can actually see the excavation better from Highway 99 as opposed from Mount Pleasant Road. This is a temporary excavation that would have to meet the new burrow pit requirements, and which shows the conditions listed in your staff report. Staff finds that it meets the criteria, provided that it continually meet the conditions for a burrow pit, and we recommend approval. We have received several informational calls, and no one indicated that they had any issues with the proposed request. And these are photos of the surrounding area, the existing site, the location of the excavation. And it's viewed from Highway 99. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please. Give us your name and any.
Chris Edwards.
Do you have anything you want to add to this request?
No, she was pretty clear. What we're trying to do is just take some of the dirt from the burrow pit and divert the water away from Mr. Bain's home. When we have a big rain shower, it's coming up and going up under his house.
Any questions? Keith?
Yes, sir. Mr. Edwards, when y'all start the removing of the soil, y'all gonna be going on to Mount Pleasant or exiting and entering off of 99?
99.
99, okay. Let me ask you this. Okay, you have your hours of operations going to be from 8 to 5 every day?
Yes.
8 to 5. How many trucks do you think y'all be?
We've got 2 trucks, is all.
Two? Okay, all right. Now let me ask you this. How long do you think this project's going to be? You said you're just trying to remove enough dirt.
Not very long. We'd already be done if it wasn't for the weather currently.
I mean, in terms of a month, 3 months, 6 months?
I'd say less than 6 months.
Less than 6 months?
Mhm.
All right. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes,
Jerry?
sir. Have you read the conditions that the board has put
Yes.
up on? They're okay with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? And the real idea here is to help with the drainage out there, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Now, the extraction, you're selling that, will that be sold? Moved
Some
from
of it
your
will,
property?
and the majority of it will be put around the man's home.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Thank you, you may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Move approved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion that be approved and a second. Call a roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell.
Yes.
Tony Webb,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain, Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
It is approved. The Terry Hackney request, they do not have all of the documentation in that's necessary to continue with this. Mr. Hackney has requested a delay till next month on this. What is your what do you want to do with that? I'll entertain a motion on it.
I make a motion based upon the applicant that we defer to next month.
Okay, a motion that it be delayed till next
Yes,
month. We have a
absolutely.
second. We have a second. Call a roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell.
Yes.
Tony Webb,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay. Going back to the first item, the Richard Gleaves, my understanding now that Mrs. Gleaves is in the audience, and she would like to continue with this. Is that correct? Ms. Gleaves, would you come around, please?
My apologies for being late.
We understand that there was a family emergency, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you requesting now that this be continued?
We can go ahead and do it today, sir. I'll attempt to answer any of the questions.
Pardon me?
I'll attempt to answer the questions to the best of
But
my
you would like
knowledge.
for us to continue with this
I would
tonight?
prefer it, yes, sir.
Okay. We have Commissioner Farley and Attorney Frank Fly here. Now, you realize some of your constituents could have left. Do you wish to continue? Okay. I just wanted to point that out to you, okay? Make that a part of the public record here. Okay. So all parties would like for us to continue with this. Now, in order for us to do that, we would need, this board would need to repeal the previous motion. Does this board wish to do that?
I guess just for clarification, Mr. Chairman, I second the motion. Would the second and the motion maker have to, well, we have to rescind our motion and our,
Yeah,
I
you'd need to.
don't know, we can ask our attorney, but
You'd need to make a motion to repeal the previous
so moved.
motion. Okay, so moved. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, like sign. Okay. You may be seated up here, so you won't have to go back. All right, what do you have on this? Let our staff.
Okay. Application 2010-52, filed by Richard Gleaves, involves the property located at 765 Kingwood Lane. It's a lot size of 5.63 acres, and it's located in the R15 zone. And this request is actually an appeal to the determination of the planning department relating to fence materials and the occupancy of a recreational vehicle in the R15 zone. There are two items that I just went over, and the first item, the fence material was deemed to be in violation of Section 1308 of the Rutherford County Zoning Resolution. This determination was made in a memorandum that is included in your packets, and that you were forwarded the record of all of the items that related to that particular appeal. And then the second item was the denial of a permit issuance for use of a camping trailer or vehicle for the purposes of living, sleeping, or housekeeping purposes. They have been issued a permit in the past to occupy the RV while they were repairing the residence that was damaged by a storm. The improvements have not been completed. The RV has been in place, I believe it's documented since 2007 at some point, and all of this information is included in your packets. And a request to extend that permit was denied by our department. So those are the two items that the applicant is appealing. In accordance with Article 10, we have forwarded to you all of the records that apply to the two items being appealed. And I will just show you some pictures of the property, some pictures that were included in your packets that you may not have been able to see very clearly because of the duplication. It didn't turn out good. So this is an aerial of the site, surrounding properties, the existing site, and you see portions of the fence in that previous photo, the existing construction taking place, the existing fence in question, the fence in question again, adjacent property, and you can see at the very end of the picture on the right side, the beginning where the fence commences. Another shot. Property located across the street. And we posted the sign on the property and sent notices. We have received phone calls regarding the appeal. And these are photos that were submitted to our office or taken by our officers of the fence while it was being constructed at different stages of construction as well. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay. Ms. Gleaves, you may come forward now. Just give us your name and any additional information you'd like to share with this board.
Okay, my name is Andrea Gleaves. We've lived on this property for 22 years. 5 years ago, during a storm, it pulled a tree into the center of the house. We were in the process of trying to get it rebuilt when we were arguing with the insurance company. They finally, July of 09, they finally paid it off. During the process, we had dirt brought into our property so that we could level it out because it was all hilly. That started in '88 when we bought the property. Last summer, we had a company come out and they started leveling the dirt out. We had all our permits in order for it. Well, In the process of getting it leveled out, it got stopped. In the process of rebuilding our house, it got stopped. And during that process, money was coming and going. We wound up having to stop the construction altogether. We are now in the process. Mr. Burkhalter came out today and took pictures of the house. It's framed up, the foundation's up. We've got the roof to put on and the outside walls to put on, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we're going to be living in part of the house. As far as the fence goes, on September 6th, I had talked to Mr. Rosenthal, and I had told him that we were planning on pulling the fence down, the front part of the fence from the corner of his fence up to the road we were going to tear down. The back part of it was pre-approved. When we put it up, before it was even put up, we had been given approval by Mr. Jones and Mr. Burkhalter that the material in broad standards is what they said would be fine to use. So we put it up. We put the front post up. The first post went up. Zoning came back out. Mr. Burkhalter came back out and said it had to be moved back 3 feet. We moved it back 3 feet because of the triangle site. Once we started putting it up, the reason it's left like it is our daughter passed away of breast cancer on September 6th. We went to Alabama, we came back, we got the letter saying that we needed to file an appeal to take care of the business. So that's what we've been doing. Now, the original reason the fence went up was for the soil to keep it from draining onto Mr. and Mrs. Rosenthal's property. When they start smoothing the dirt out and leveling it up, we did not want drainage going onto their property. That is why we started the lower part of it. Our dogs were bothering their dogs, so we put it up higher to where it wouldn't be a problem anymore. Like I said, I did talk to Mr. Rosenthal. We were going to remove the front of it. Once we got back, we started building on the house. My husband is one person. He can't do 20 different things at one time. He's trying. His brother has been out there helping him every day to get the house built. I spoke to Doug on the phone before coming over because I wasn't going to be able to make it. I don't want it thrown out because I want to be able to stay in the motorhome for the next 2 weeks until we get the house done and get into it. And then the motorhome's coming off the property. There's not going to be a problem there. The fence is going to come down. It's not going to be a problem. As far as the dirt on the property, we've already got a construction company that has said when they're finished doing the work on the property on the road behind us on the South Loop, any extra dirt, they're going to bring it topsoil in, get it smoothed out, and replant for our grass. So we're trying to get everybody to where we're back to where we can live on our property in peace.
There are two things that we're looking at here, Mrs. Cleaves. Number one, we have standards by which the fencing must go meet, okay? That's the only part that we're looking at. All of the other things are incidental. I know they're important to you. I'm not saying they're not important to you.
No, I understand.
So we're looking at whether that fence meets our standard or not. The second one is the mobile home that you have in there.
Yes.
We gave you a certain length of time, and that was extended by the planning office here.
Yes.
So all of that is void at this point in time.
Yes.
So those are the two things that we'll be looking at. I wanted you to understand that.
I understand
okay? I understand all your explanation, but this is what the board's got to look at. Do we have any questions from the board while she's up here?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
What was the purpose of running that fence all the way to the road? I went there and looked at it. What was the purpose of running that fence?
The purpose was because when we put it up to the corner of the Rosenthal's fence, Our dogs kept running past it. They have purebred dogs. Our dogs are Min Pins purebred. They don't get along. I don't want them fighting anymore. I don't want any arguments with our neighbors anymore. We also had planned on making it a 3-foot fence, and we plan eventually on putting a couple horses on the front property there. But we plan on changing the fence to where it's feasible for everybody, to where it looks nice. I don't like the fence. I think it's ugly. My husband thinks it's ugly, but right now it's serving the purpose to keep the dogs off the property, off of their property. They don't go past that corner from what I have seen. Now, if they have, I'd like for, please tell me. We have got collars on them to where they are now staying up into the yard. Our dogs have gotten older. They're not roaming. I haven't had the neighbors calling me, telling me they're in our yard. But like I said, the front part is coming down. That's not a problem. The part next to Tom and Nikki, as soon as we can afford to put a privacy fence up there, that's what's going to go up.
Thank you for all of this discussion, but still it gets back to these 2 points that we need to look at.
Yes, sir.
I just have a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman. Based upon what you said, Ms. Cleese, like you do understand that the fence that you have constructed up there is in violation of the county code, and it's got to be removed. My question to you is, and I don't know if we need to deal with this, but and you've acknowledged that you're going to take it down.
Yes.
Time frame? What kind of time frame?
Well, if we can have the time to finish our house and get in it within the next 2 weeks, hopefully we'll have that fence down within the next month.
Okay. My other question is what we've got to deal with here. You do understand that the mobile home that you all are staying in, it's been extended, and then now that's in violation. So you understand that really, if you continue to stay in that mobile home, that you're still violating the county code, and so you're going to have to. You're not going to be able to stay there, and you have some plans of doing something else.
Like I said, we're planning on being in the house. We're planning on being in it before Christmas morning. We've got people coming out this week to help us finish it. Now, I know we're in violation. I understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand that the permit was granted. The mobile home was there for 5 years until all of a sudden the mobile home in the house by Christmas morning. We plan on being in that house by Christmas morning.
By January
No,
December?
December. Yes, sir.
December the 25th.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just to be clear, all we're deciding today was whether Mr. Jones made a rightful decision. We're not extending anything else. All we're hearing is that we support or do not support his decisions. Am I correct? Thank you.
Ms. Cleaves, you alluded to the fact that you had achieved some approval or obtained some approval at the beginning of the construction of the fence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Has anything, how much of that fence was put up at the time of that approval? How many linear feet?
All the way up to the corner of Mr. and Mrs. Rosenthal's fence. It was approved.
The back corner of their property or the front?
I'm sorry.
The back?
The front.
The front corner.
The front corner.
Has anything changed about that fence as far as the length or the height since that approval?
The height has not changed. The length, we extended the length out to the front.
Closer to the road?
Yeah, closer to the road.
Did you have any approval to extend it beyond?
Jim Burkhalter came out and he measured it, and he said if we moved it back 3 feet, there was no problem. It was still the same material that we were using, and he did not see any problems as long as, quote unquote, the height limit for county is 30 foot.
Okay.
We had no intention of going that, going high.
Okay. Do you have anything from him in writing stating that approval?
I do, but not with me, no, sir.
Okay.
When I came at the last moment.
Okay. Just a question or two about the RV. About how long have you been in that RV?
We've been in that RV 5 years.
In the RV for
Yes,
5
sir.
years?
We
Okay.
have been working on that house, and we have been stopped and started 4 or 5 times trying to get it built. The one time we had all the back walls, my brother-in-law was out there, we had all the walls framed up. We were ready to put the tall rafters on the roof. Came out, zoning came out, said we had to stop.
Okay. Is it just you and Mr. Gleaves in the
No,
RV?
sir, me, my husband, my 2 boys, and we have had DCS out there. They have approved that the home is livable. It has hot and cold running water. It has a septic tank. It has refrigerator, heat, air, beds for all the kids.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Did Mr. Jones give them permission for part of that fence to be built out of that material?
I believe there's 2 occasions.
I can't hear you. You got to talk louder.
And I was not part of the conversation with Mr. Jones and the previous one where they discussed the fence material, but from what I understand from discussions was that the fence material was used, but it was only the 3 foot high, and then as time went on and the construction of the fence continued, it became taller and taller, and we were getting phone calls. And at that point, Mr. Jones deferred to the planning department for their interpretation as to whether the fence met our guidelines. It was determined in that memorandum that is included in your packets that it was not made of materials that were customarily used in fences and therefore did not meet our guidelines.
But now, may I say something? May I say something? The reason it looks taller and taller is the way the property is built up. He has every intention of had every intention before we decided to cut it down to where it was all 3 foot high.
The real question, though, is getting back to appropriate material or not. Any other questions?
Just wanted to follow up on what you just said. Ms. Gleaves, when you all obtained through the planning or whatever to construct this fence, you were given a list of what materials you could build this fence out of, what was in compliance with the county. Did you not?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then because, I mean...
That's why we asked before we started putting it up. We had Mr. Burkhalter come out and look at the material.
You had who come out and look at it?
Jim Burkhalter.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing. For anyone who'd like to speak on that, if you would come forward, please. And please make your remarks pointed to the question. If you have representation, that's fine too. We'll take that. Give us your name and a little bit about who you're representing here.
Okay. Gary Farley, I'm the county commissioner at Kingwood Lane. Kingwood Lane actually splits my district and Commissioner Jones's district, District 7 and District 8. I'm here on behalf of the neighbors that are here tonight, and I'm also here on behalf of the neighbors that live out there, and there's quite a few. No disrespect to Ms. Gleaves, but from what I was hearing there a while ago, same song, different verse. Different verse, second, third, fourth, fifth verse. You actually said a while ago, they've been in that camper for 5 years. The Coast Department has been dealing with this place for as long as I can remember, and I've been in office for 16 years. So am I right? She's shaking her head in the affirmative. I know we're here today for 2 things, but it's beyond the 2 things that the Coast Department needs to be dealing with on this land. It doesn't meet our codes on the fence. It needs to go. They've had ample time to and I don't like throwing people out, and I'm not here to do that. I'm here because it's an eyesore out there. They've had ample time to get this house built. It's a detriment to the property values out there of the people that live out there. A while ago, they were talking about the fence, where dogs, if you look at some of those pictures, the pictures I've seen that some of the neighbors have got, dogs can get up on that fence. It's old and out of shape as I am. I can crawl on that fence myself, as big as I am. You know, it's time to stand up for those neighbors out there, and that's what I'm here to do tonight. And I want to ask this board to deny or to affirm the decision that David Jones and Doug DeMasi has made, and I ask you on behalf of the neighbors out there, and there's a lot. I'll take any questions. They've been working on this house for 5 years or longer. And I'll be honest with you, no disrespect to the family out there, December 25th will be long. It'll be after December the 25th before they ever get in that house. If they're building it themselves, 2 weeks from the pictures I seen a while ago, I don't think it's going to happen.
Anyone else?
My name is Tim Haskell. I live at 775 Kingwood Lane. It's the property on the bottom of the photograph adjacent to this property. I'm here to urge the Board of Zoning Appeals to affirm 2 decisions that were made by the Planning Department regarding the installation of an improper fence and denial of a permit to occupy a recreational vehicle for the purposes of living, sleeping, and housekeeping. Details of the appeal are found in your packet. Please know that we, my wife and I, do not take this process lightly, and we do not wish any harm on the Gleaves family. However, all the parties appear before this board because of a long-standing disregard for zoning regulations and codes that are in place in this county. These regulations are in place to preserve and to protect neighborhood values. To date, these regulations and the staff and the board responsible for enforcing them have failed to protect our neighborhood. I will not repeat in this statement the long list of complaints and issues that neighbors and I have brought to the attention of the Planning Department, because although they are not part of this appeal, those complaints are contained in the record. The subject of today's appeal is not simply the construction of a fence that is not to specifications, but it is the result of a property owner who for many years has disregarded zoning regulations and state law. The subject is also the inaction and the failure of a county administration to require compliance, and therefore a failure to protect the neighborhood. It is time for this board to begin to meet its responsibilities. I urge you to begin meeting those responsibilities by affirming this decision. Thank you.
Mr. Haskell, let me also challenge you. This board has met its responsibility, will continue to meet its responsibility. That's why this meeting is here. So I challenge that statement that you made. It is incorrect and it is wrong. But you have a right to say that before this board. But it is incorrect.
I understand that, sir.
Okay.
And I understand that I have lived on my property for 8 years. I have seen total disregard for zoning regulations, and I understand that this meeting is on two subjects. And I understand that in that respect, you are absolutely correct, and I am probably out of order. However, as you can see from the aerial photograph, there is significantly more barren land than 1 acre. State law requires any unkept property to be seeded. That barren land has been that way for 4 years.
Well, I appreciate I know you folks are irritable out there about this, but I did want you to know we have met our responsibility, and we will continue to do that. Since this is in public record, I think the board would want you to know that we do meet our responsibilities. So, and we have done all within our power to apply the law. It's not necessarily our part to protect everybody. We don't do that, but we do apply the law according to what we understand it to be. But thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Anyone else? Attorney Frank Fly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if I may pass out pictures. I'm here on behalf of Mr. and Ms. Rosenthal, and their property is located immediately adjacent to the subject property, and they've been dealing with this same problem for a very long time. As has already been pointed out, the first problem is with the fence, and much has been said about that, but not everything has been said about that can be said about that. First of all, I'd like to point out that with regard to the impermissible materials in violation of Section 13.08, the fence design guidelines, what the subject family has done, Mr. and Ms. Gleaves, is they're using roofing material as fencing material. Now that in and of itself, I think, is impermissible, but they have gone beyond that. They've used different color roofing material, different sizes of roofing material, different shapes of roofing material, and different applications of roofing material. And some of the problems that has resulted in, if you'll look toward the back of your packet I've passed out, is that it has caused flooding on the Rosenthal property. Water can't pass underneath the tin that is down on the ground. It acts as a dam and backs water up, and that's caused a problem for the Rosenthal family, and I think you can see that in the pictures. Secondly, the fence is facing the wrong way. In other words, it's on the wrong side of the posts. Mr. and Ms. Gleaves have made the good side of the fence face them, and the bad side of the fence face their neighbor. That also is in violation of the fence design guidelines under the guidelines that we have read under Section 13.08. This is not only prohibited by the guidelines, it's aesthetically unfair to the next door neighbor to make them look at the ugly side of the fence. And beyond that, it's a safety hazard. I think if you'll look carefully at the pictures that I've passed out, you will see that there are nails and screws protruding through the tin, sometimes, and I haven't measured these, but it appears to be a good 1.5 inches or 2 inches or more down close to ground level. Now, my clients have grandchildren who play in their yard, and these grandchildren can easily reach those protruding nails and screws and possibly scratch or cut themselves. And that is a clear safety hazard that should be taken into consideration. The next thing I want to point out is if you look at the pictures where the tin was either removed or never installed along certain portions of the bottom section of the fence, there's nothing there to keep dogs out. So the argument that the fence is needed to keep dogs out simply isn't so, because you can look and see that there's a good 2 or 3 feet between the first section of fence here, the black part, and the ground. There's simply nothing there. So when we turn our attention to the camper, I call it, that the Gleaves are living in, and I didn't realize, I don't guess, maybe my clients told me they've been living there, Ms. Gleaves said, for 5 years, which I suppose means they've been trying to finish their house for 5 years. And I don't know how close to being finished it is, but from the pictures I've seen of it, it can't be finished in 2 weeks. So it's been in violation for 5 years by their own admission. The temporary permit was issued on October the 26th, 2009. An extension was denied on September the 13th, 2010. We have a number of other neighbors here to testify. I hope all of them will come forward and do so. I think Mr. Rosenthal wants to testify, and I would urge the board to deny the appeal and affirm the previous ruling.
Anyone else? Please come around. Yeah, just come on around. Come on around to this side over here. Are you? Okay. Excuse me. Go ahead.
My name is Tom Rosenthal, and I live at 647 Kingwood Lane, which is directly to the north of the Gleaves property. And I will limit my comments to the fence and the motorhome. Despite the fact that I've been there 15 years and there's been many other issues, a fence is for aesthetics, and it's for protection, and it's for privacy. We had a fence put up. As a matter of fact, we've had to fence our entire yard, all 4 sides, at the expense of thousands of dollars to keep dogs out. Our dogs don't leave our property. The fact that this fence is put up at 6 foot tall, up against an existing fence with inferior materials that are dangerous and ugly makes no sense to me. And the fact of the matter is that you do have guidelines that specify what appropriate materials are. And I wouldn't imagine any of you living where I live feeling that those are appropriate materials. Those pictures that you see are what I see every day pulling into my driveway, what I see every day when I cut the lawn. It's an embarrassment. It's humiliating. I don't like going out to get the mail. This is a statement by a neighbor saying that I can do whatever I want. It's not a fence that is a proper fence. And I'm not a highbrow person. If you look at that, in some portions, it's over 9 feet tall. That's higher than a normal ceiling in a house. There's no purpose for it except for spite and except to make a statement that he can do whatever he wants. And I implore you to use the regulations that you have in effect to deny his application. It affects the quality of our life. It affects the value of my property tremendously. I've had a real estate agent come out and give me a quick assessment saying that if I were to try to sell my house, if I could with that next to me, it would right now in this market be at least $20,000 less because of the condition of the property next to me. And if you're thinking like a home buyer would be thinking, driving by there, looking at homes and looking over there at just the fence coming all the way out to the front, you would move right by and wouldn't even consider it. So I just want to tell you that the fence And the motor home in the back have been going on for so long, and you do have regulations, and I ask you to please enforce them, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Well said. Let me remind you just one thing here, and I've said this before. If you can get a real estate agent to sign an affidavit to that effect about the property value, anytime you come before the board, we'd like to see that. That would be good evidence.
I do have a written letter. It's not a signed affidavit.
Well, it's too late for this now, but just keep that in mind. I try to tell all of our citizens that.
Hi, my name's Nikki Rosenthal. I live at 647 Kingwood Lane. I just want to tell you a little story, and might get emotional about it. I raised my kids in that house, my girls. They went to Rockvale Elementary, Blackman High, and my daughter graduated from MTSU. This spring, she got engaged. She wanted to have the reception in the home that she grew up in. When the Glebes put that fence up, I had to tell her no. Thank you.
My name's Henry Sandage. I live at 1852 Kingwood Lane. I've lived there a little over 20 years now. Drive back and forth across the property area there every day, twice a day. As far as the fence go, I have horses and cows and have had dogs all the time I've lived in the neighborhood out there. I started out with 5 acres, increased it to 10, and I have 57 acres on that stretch of land just right on down the road. A regular chain link fence or a regular field fence would have been fine to keep the dogs in and their horses that they want to have later on. It's an unsightly issue driving back, and the only reason I'm here tonight is to make sure that we weren't getting a junkyard placed on the property out there. This is the type of fence that I normally see around junkyards. And I called yesterday afternoon to find out what was going on after seeing the sign several weeks and continually forget to call. And the property has looked like a junkyard, so I was under that impression that maybe we're going with a full-sized field there over the years. So I hope the board goes ahead and makes the issue here and gets this thing back down, gets the fence down, has proper fencing around the area. I'm quite sorry that they've had to live in a trailer or in a motor home for 5 years. I'm in construction. There's no possible way that you could get the inspectors to come out there and inspect in the next 2 weeks with Christmas coming to get moved into that property properly. I guess you could always go under the radar, but that seems like what's been happening out there all these years. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. I'm Mike Bryan. I live at 1014 Rutledge Drive, which is just off Kingwood Lane, just past this property. My wife and Mary Jo and I have lived there for 23 years. Thank God we live in America. If we were in some other country, we wouldn't even be having this meeting tonight. Folks would do what they want to do. I think that freedom is not free, and I think that also it doesn't allow you to do everything that you want to do. You have to live within the rules and the guidelines. And to echo what the fellow just said before me, he took the words right out of my mouth. When this fence went up, I thought, oh my gosh, are they going to build a junkyard here? It is the type of fence you see a lot in Tennessee and some other states surrounding a junkyard. I agree with what's been said about keeping out animals. You don't have to have a fence like that to keep out animals or to keep them in. Before I came to this meeting tonight, I had some other thoughts and reservations about things. I know how the economy is, as we all do. And I know sometimes folks get down on their luck. And I was prepared to say, okay, if somebody's down on their luck, it's okay with me for them to live in a motorhome till they can get back on their feet. But 5 years, that's a little bit long, fellas and ladies. And I urge you to do the right thing and to go by the codes that we have, that this county has, and to disallow the fence and have it taken down. And maybe these folks can get some help to live someplace else till they can finish their home. But they've stretched it out long enough in the motorhome. And once again, I thank you for your time and for the thankless duties sometimes that you have. I say thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Terry Courtney. I live at 580 Kingwood Lane. That's just catty corner right across from the property there. First of all, I've got to say that we're not here to downgrade Mr. Gleaves. We're asking for some rules and regulations to be enforced. Mr. Gleaves brought his backhoe when he had that tornado through there, helped me on my property, pulled some stumps out and some stuff like that, and I thank him for that. But we all have to obey our regulations. We can't do what we want, how we want, and when we want. So all we're doing is just asking you people to enforce the rules that's already there. Not change anything, not give any variances, just enforce what's there. The fence, like you said, it looks like a junkyard fence. Like I said, sometimes you put up what you have, but it comes back to the thing, yay or nay, is it right or wrong? Everybody in this room agrees it's a wrong fence, so it has to come down. If they had been put up in the first place, a nice privacy fence, this meeting would not be taking place. So what comes down is yay or nay, get in or get out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing on this. And let me make it clear. There's been a lot of statements made here tonight, but we need to be clear of what decisions we're making. The planning office has already ruled that this was not in compliance with the standards set down by the county. The standards are listed here in the document that's been provided for us by the planning office. The applicant has appealed the determination made by the Rutherford County Planning Department. This is an appeal. Now, the fencing material is determined to be in violation of Section 13.08. The RV parked there, if you remember, we gave them a certain length of time for the RV to be parked at this site for the purpose of finishing the building. Now, we understand that the building was to be finished by this time, okay? We understood that. And I think that was clear in the minutes of our meeting where we discussed this. The planning department has determined that the RV that was parked here is also in violation, and that request to extend it was denied. So what we need to do, and we need to understand this, folks, we're a growing county. We cannot do just anything we want to on property that's out in the county. We have property rights of all of the people that we have to consider, and we have to follow those guidelines that we have set up. So this is where we are, determine on whether we will uphold the planning department's decision that they've already made or not. Jerry? We have a motion that...
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we deny the appeals.
Both appeals.
Both appeals.
That both appeals be denied. Do we have a second? Have a second. Any question now?
I'd just like to make some
Discussion.
comment, Mr. Chairman, kind of go along what you had said. I know there was a lot of things that was said during this meeting, and I know the folks out there seem like they've been dealing with this quite some often, but in defense of our planning department and our codes department, I think we have a very good planning department. Their staff does a very good job. Don't want to seem like they've been dealing with this for some time, but it's not like it's been going on, I don't think, on deaf ears. I think they've just been trying to follow the laws and the procedures and trying to just deal with the best they could. So I don't think it's just not been a lack of our planning staff or our codes department not trying to do the right thing. And I'm not really saying anyone's really indicate that here, but in some of the comments made in their defense, I thought I need to make those comments.
Any other discussion?
So we'll be voting in the affirmative to deny the request.
That's correct. In the affirmative to deny both requests, okay? Both appeals. So you understand? Does everybody understand? Okay. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell. Yes. Tony Webb. Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay. The appeals as requested are denied. Okay? Now, from this point on, it's up to the planning office and the codes department to take care of removing these items, okay? In case any of you are wondering what happens next. That will be taken care of. Commissioner Farley.
They'll be provided something in writing, of course.
The planning office, Commissioner Farley, they'll provide that in writing, okay? Any other questions before we adjourn? Any other items that need to come before us? We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.